Okay guys, welcome back. Today we're gonna talk about biting and actually that nobody cares. I grew up, no well I didn't grow up, I started breaking in the year 2000. I was already 20 years old. But you know, back then it still was a very big deal if you were biting. That was seen as very lame, and actually slightly before that it was even a bigger deal. But slowly but surely people cared less. But it was still a very big deal. It was seen as very lame. And in these battles you see sometimes ridiculous bite signs for power move combos which make zero sense, etc. Like for instance, someone does one hand elbow air flare and then you see the end do this because he did three. That makes no sense. That's stupid. But obviously there is something like, hey, I'm gonna take your moves, I'm gonna take your style and take it and take it as my own, right? And it's seen as lame because, well, obviously you didn't do the work to get to that style. You didn't create anything. You just took it, right? Now you can think all kind of things about it, but basically the gist of it is it was seen as very lame. And then came actually the Pak situation, Pacman, whatever you gonna call that guy. He's from France. And I will say, if you take that biting away, he's fucking awesome, right? He's really good b-boy, good dancer, good moves. But it turned out all his sort of signature stuff and so was from another guy who was called Willustrator, right? And that sort of came out. So that was unmistakable. He took his moves, he took his style. And you know what I thought was, man, it is sort of like it, you can still dance of course, but man, people gonna look at you like, man, you're fucking whack, right? But no, actually there's zero repercussion for this guy. Now I'm not saying there should be, I'm just saying it's noteworthy that nobody really cares, right? So he took not one move, no, a lot of moves from that guy. Maybe the guy taught him, who the fuck knows, but basically, man, that's lame, right? Oh, you're not coming up with anything, you're just taking his moves and shining with him, right? What I think still to this day I'm against biting basically. But basically nobody cares, and that's interesting to see. Lately there was actually the Olympics and people are calling a little bit that Chinese guy out who was second place, lighting that man. Instead of lighting they say biting in the comments, you know, which is kind of funny. But I will say yet again, that guy is fucking awesome, right? He's really good. But yeah, little moves of his own, and here I think actually it's more like, man, maybe he takes stuff, but it's more about his moves than his style. I think it's a lot less sort of than the Pak situation, but in general, nobody really cares. So what is here the lesson? Well, I care about biting, and one of my close friends who I always train with also, really, we don't like that shit. We try to also, I don't even want to take inspiration from other people, which sometimes to my detriment, right? Because you can learn a lot from other people. But basically, I want to make it myself. It's just my thing, right? I want to make my own stuff, and sometimes it's inevitable that you make something that another guy already made, but that's not really the debate, right? But if you don't mind at all, then you can actually just take people's stuff. And actually, funny enough, I almost want to advocate this to some, you know, like younger students that I have that still, like, they just don't have enough stuff, right? So if they just take sometimes, like, they only have the basics sort of, because whatever, right? And then if they take someone's stuff, they can flip that. And that's the thing with biting. If you do that, it's sort of still legit, right? So if you take someone's move, but you put your own twist to it, a different way of doing it, or maybe you flip it totally so that's actually a different move, there's no problem there. We can't even call that biting in a way. But yeah, so you can actually take a lot of stuff from people, and apparently nobody gives a fuck, right? So that's interesting. Yeah, my personal opinion about it, but who cares what I think, right? Because I'm not a b-boy judge, I'm not your mom or whatever. So, but I personally think biting is kind of lame. I think it's against the spirit of hip-hop, but it happens all the damn time. And apparently very famous b-boys that you see are biting big time, right? They're just on that stage while the guy that they bit or the guy they took it from is not known, because some b-boys are very famous and apparently they, you know, just took their moves. So yeah guys, basically do what you want. In this case, I would always say, even if you take someone's stuff, flip it. Don't do the exact same thing. That's lame. But if you want to do that, nobody seems to really care. See you next time.